Welcome back, everyone. You know the drill. Before we continue the story, if you are new to this series, I implore you to pause the video and go watch the previous episodes of this series, since it's no fun to jump straight into a series without knowing what's going on, especially now that we have started part 2 of the series. The link to the series playlist will be down in the description of the video. Now, with that said, let's begin with the story. Horizons Part 2, Dark Dawn. Chapter 11, The Forgotten. The ancient ruins of Selacion tower over Dante and Violet. The sun is just rising into its noon position, and the shadow of the ruins stretches all the way over to the town. Have you been in ruins before, Dante? Violet asks. Few times, actually. Went on a few digs with my dad in the Johto region, the ruins of Alph, Dante says as he remembers back to his childhood. That honestly comes as a surprise to me, Violet laughs. I always pictured you as a sheltered kid. I'm full of surprises, Violet. Violet pulls off her backpack and pulls out 2 flashlights and hands one to Dante. I'll lead the way. There is a path, but we could still get lost if we separate, so stick close by me, Violet explains as she prepares to enter the ruins. Dante nods and they begin to trek through the maze of passageways. The stagnant air fills their lungs as they pass by an empty chamber and then another. They pass by a third and a strange noise draws their attention. Was that a Pokémon? Violet asks. The unknown, Dante says, peeking into the chamber. Alone they are harmless. In a storm, well, there was a reason why my dad never took a crew back to the ruins of Alph. I've heard stories of the unknown. Always wanted to catch one despite it not being strong. Violet shines the flashlight over the wall and a single eye opens. The body of the unknown forms as it pulls its C-shaped body from the wall. Dante and Violet just watch as it watches them, and in a split second, it vanishes. Violet continues past the chamber, and Dante stays close, studying the hieroglyphics on the wall. Some he knows, but others he can't make out. He wishes now he paid more attention to when his father was teaching him about the old languages, so he could know more of the stories of old Selacion. More unknown cries echo throughout the chamber. They're not happy we are here, Violet, Dante says calmly. Since you're the expert in this case, what should we do? Violet questions. Dante looks back and sees the walls moving with more and more unknown. Stay calm and just walk. So no fighting our way out of this? No. With their numbers right now, they can alter reality. Dante looks back again and sees the spiraling swarm of ancient Pokémon. How much further to the cave? 2 more floors. Fear is starting to infect her voice, now knowing how dangerous this situation can get. The unknown all cry out at once, and Dante screams for them to run. Psychic energy flows through the ruins, and every stone begins to shift and change. The path before them becomes a descending staircase. They outrun the changing floor, but do not slow, knowing the unknown swarm behind them can cause anything to happen. Violet leads them to the bottom floor, and they pause a moment to catch their breath. We should, Violet pants, be almost to the cave. Dante leans up against the wall, holding his side. Good. I'm too out of shape for this. The roar of the swarm echoes down the adjacent hall, and when both Dante and Violet shine their lights down the hall, they see thousands of unknown rushing towards them in a massive force of nature, altering the ruins around them. Dante takes Violet by the hand and pulls her along, now leading the way from the changing hallway. The ruins begin to shake as the ceiling slowly begins moving down. Left, Dante! Violet calls out while Dante pulls her forward. He takes a sharp left, and at the end of the hall is the entrance to the cave that leads towards Veilstone City. They run with all their might, with the unknown at their heels and the ceiling coming down on them. They reach the mouth of the cave and leap into it just as the ceiling slowly slams down. Violet pushes herself up and off of Dante and sits next to him. For the first time ever, Dante can see the fear she feels. He places an arm around her and gives her a gentle squeeze. She leans into the embrace. Thanks, Dante, she says quietly. If I knew that place was filled with those things, I would have never taken us through it. It's fine, Violet. We got out of there, and we're on the right path, too, Dante says with a smile, hoping to cheer her up. We could have died in there. Dante can see how badly shaken up she is and helps her to her feet. He takes his canteen out from his satchel and gives it to Violet. She slowly takes a sip and calms down. Thanks, I needed that. she says while handing the canteen back. She looks over at Dante and smiles. She steps a bit close to him, looking up into his eyes, and then a blast of sand comes from the darkness of the cave. "What the?" Dante says as the sand hits him. They shine their flashlights deeper into the cave and spot the lone hippopotas standing ready to attack. "A hippopotas?" Violet says, confused. "They migrated out of this part of Sinnoh a few weeks ago. This little one must have been left behind." "Forgotten," Dante says with a broken heart. "We can't just leave it here. Do you think we can convince it to come with us? Maybe we could take it to its family." "You can try, but it may attack you. Be ready to fight it," Violet warns. Dante creeps slowly towards the young hippopotas and kneels down so he is eye level with it. "Hey there! You're lost, aren't you?" Dante says with a gentleness in his voice, a clear love for Pokémon. "You should come with us. We can find your herd for you." The hippopotas snorts out a sand attack and hits Dante in his face. He wipes the sand from his eyes and tries again. "That wasn't very nice. We're just trying to help you." The little Pokemon responds in the same way and breaks Dante's patience. "Fine then, I'll do it your way," he says, reaching for a Pokeball. "Okay, Kabuto, let's do this!" Kabuto comes out and scurries around, scanning his surroundings. He sees Dante and then the hippopotas and knows that is the target. "Okay, Kabuto, get in there and hit it hard with an Aqua Jet." Kabuto launches forward and slams into the side of Hippopotas and sends it flying. "Good, now Ancient Power!" The Kabuto forms the glowing boulders, but before they can be launched, the Hippopotas snorts out a torrent of sand and begins burying Kabuto with its Sand Tomb attack. The Ancient Power misses because of this, and the Hippopotas follows with a powerful takedown attack. "Kabuto, try to break out of the sand with an Aqua Jet!" Kabuto tries with all its might, but only is swallowed by the sand that is now turning into a thick mud by the failed Aqua Jets. The Hippopotas does not let up at the takedowns, though it is doing more damage to itself than to Kabuto. "Kabuto, you can do it!" It continues trying to break out, but instead of using its futile water attacks, its top eyes begin to glow and a ghostly orb forms and flies towards Hippopotas. It makes contact with the Pokemon and it stumbles around completely confused. "Dante, that was Confuse Ray!" Violet says with excitement. "Now's your shot. Toss a Pokeball and catch the Hippopotas." Dante hesitates at first, but like if he's being controlled by a puppeteer, he reaches into his satchel and pulls out one of the Pokeballs Rowan gave him. He looks at the Hippopotas and tosses the ball. The ball opens and energizes the Pokemon, drawing it in. It lands on the cave floor and shakes. It rocks back and forth once, twice, 3 times, and clicks locked. Dante walks over and kneels down to break Kabuto out of its muddy trap. Once it's free, he returns it to his Pokeball and moves over to pick up the newly caught Pokemon. He picks it up with shame in his eyes. "Why do you look sad, Dante? You just caught a Pokemon." He shrugs with a silent, contemplating look on his face. "Dante, what is your deal with catching Pokemon? You refused to even talk about it back in Orberg City," Violet questions. "I don't like catching Pokemon. I feel so wrong." He lets out a sigh. "It's a moral thing, I guess. Growing up watching the Pokemon be free in the Safari Reserve makes you think. What if the Pokemon you are catching is bringing food back to its children? Or what if it's a child and you just stole a baby from its mother? And then there are the Pokemon that are close to humans. Why do we put Gardevoirs and Machoke in Pokeballs when they are so close to being like a human?" Violet thinks about it before answering. There was always a morality issue about catching Pokemon that some questioned, but there is always one truth that stands out. "Dante, Pokemon and humans exist together. We catch them to befriend them. Sure, there are other ways around it, but if they didn't want to be caught, they can leave. They can break out of the Pokeballs." Dante looks at the Pokeball in his hand. He points it to the ground and calls out Hippopotas. This is the first time he is able to actually get a good look at it, and he can see it has the darker skin of a female. He kneels down and offers his hand. "I'm sorry I caught you, but it's not safe for you here, darling," he says gently. The Hippopotas walks over to Dante and touches her snout to his hand. "I promise I will return you to your family, okay?" She looks up at Dante with a cocked head in confusion, and then understands. She nudges into him happily, and Dante returns the little Pokemon's embrace. He returns her to her Pokeball and stands. I hope we can find her family, Violet says with a kind smile. I'll make a point to, Dante says, placing the Pokeball on his belt. Okay, let's go watch you win your 4th gym badge, Dante says and begins following the cave to the exit. And that is the end of this chapter. Please leave feedback and your thoughts in the comments below. It helps me grow and change the story so it doesn't turn into something you don't want to listen to. I need to know, are you okay with shorter chapters or do you prefer longer chapters? Let me know. All feedback, negative and positive, is always welcomed. If you enjoyed this video, please share this series around so others can enjoy it as well, and leave a like so I know you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter for updates on anything and everything Pokemon as well as to know when all my videos go live. The link is down below. And as always, this has been Black Phoenix. Thanks for watching.